Did you know that the world's most powerful and wealthiest country, America, was once considered a useless landmass by European empires? Believe it or not, when European explorers first came to America, they weren't impressed at all. They were hoping to find gold, silver, and fancy spices, like hitting the jackpot. Instead, they found trees, more trees, and, surprise, even more trees. Spanish explorers, like Columbus and others, passed by North America and said, "Nah, nothing here for us." The French and English checked it out too, but didn't think it was worth much. To them, it was just this wild, faraway land full of forests and animals, with no fancy cities or treasure chests. For more than 100 years, most European powers ignored America like an old sock under the bed. The real hotspots were in South America, the Caribbean, and India. Those places had shiny stuff and trade goods people wanted. America? Not so much. It was the leftover land. But here's the twist. That useless land would one day become the richest country in the world. Yep, history loves surprises. Before Christopher Columbus discovered America, there was a map made that showed an island somewhere in the west, which the Vikings said they found. But nobody realized that it was actually a whole continent. Columbus thought he could find a new trade route to Asia by sailing west, but instead, he found some islands in the Caribbean. He didn't find the spices he expected, but he still thought he was near India, so he called the native people Indians. He brought some gold and other treasures back to the king and queen of Spain. They were excited about the gold but disappointed about the missing spices. So, Columbus was told to convert the natives to Christianity and bring back more gold. A few years before Columbus claimed the West Indies for Spain, the Portuguese discovered they could reach Asia by sailing around Africa. Spain and Portugal drew a line on the map dividing the new lands between them. Portugal got the lands to the east, and Spain got the lands to the west. Portugal sailed to Asia and built a big trading empire, while Spain started conquering the Americas, especially the places rich in gold and silver. Spain also sent explorers to North America in 1539 but found little gold, so they mostly ignored those lands. Meanwhile, the English sent explorers to North America before Spain reached Florida. England's first colony was at Roanoke, North Carolina in 1585, but it mysteriously disappeared. Later, they successfully established Jamestown, and then the Pilgrims came to Plymouth. The Pilgrims were strict Christians who banned gambling and Christmas. Soon, many British colonies appeared along the East Coast. The French claimed land in the middle of North America. By 1754, there was a war to decide who owned what in America. The French, with about 60,000 people, teamed up with some Native American tribes to fight the British colonies, which had over 1 million people and also had Indian allies. This conflict was called the French and Indian War. The British won. After the war, the map was redrawn. France gave part of Louisiana to Spain and the rest to Britain, along with Canada. Britain now owned a lot of land in America but was in debt from the war. They taxed the colonies to pay for it, which made the colonists very unhappy since they had no say in the taxes. This disagreement grew into a fight and then a revolution. On July 4, 1776, the Americans declared independence from Britain, but it took 5 more years to win the war. After gaining independence, the new country had a problem. The 13 colonies acted like 13 separate countries, which didn't work well. The Founding Fathers wrote a new constitution to create a stronger federal government, which went into effect in 1789, and George Washington became the first president. At that time, America was small, with much of the western land still belonging to Spain. Napoleon in France wanted to build an empire in America, so he made a deal with Spain to get Louisiana back. But America needed the Mississippi River for trade and worried about Napoleon controlling it, so they bought Louisiana for $15 million, doubling the size of the country. America's population was also growing fast, with families having many children, so many people moved west to claim new lands. In 1819, America bought Florida from Spain and set a border. Soon, Mexico wanted independence from Spain, and Americans settled in Texas, which later broke free and wanted to join the U.S. Texas joining led to a war with Mexico. After winning, the U.S. paid Mexico $15 million for more land and later bought more territory. At the same time, Britain and America agreed on the Oregon Territory border. After 50 years and a war with Mexico, America stretched from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean. Then America started claiming islands in the Pacific, including Hawaii. Some Americans feared if they didn't get involved, other powers like Germany or Japan would take these islands and threaten America. Soon, there was trouble brewing in Cuba, where people were fighting for independence from Spain. When a U.S. warship mysteriously exploded near Cuba in 1898, the U.S. declared war on Spain and quickly took control of Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Philippines, ending Spain's empire in America. After World War I, America returned to its policy of isolationism. The country didn't join the League of Nations and instead focused on economic growth and modernizing its cities. The 1920s became known as the Roaring Twenties, a time of jazz music, booming industry, and social change. But it all came crashing down in 1929 with the Great Depression. Banks failed, unemployment soared, and millions of Americans suffered. President Franklin D. Roosevelt responded with the New Deal, a series of programs designed to provide jobs, reform the economy, and prevent future depressions. Slowly, the country began to recover. But over in Europe, things were getting dangerous again. Adolf Hitler rose to power in Germany, promising to restore the country's pride after World War I. Fascism spread, and soon Germany invaded Poland. World War II had begun. At first, America stayed out of the war, but after Japan attacked Pearl Harbor in 1941, everything changed. The United States declared war on Japan, and soon after, on Germany and Italy. American factories shifted to wartime production, and millions of troops were sent overseas. The war ended in 1945 after the Allies defeated the Axis powers and America dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japan. The world had entered the nuclear age. With Europe and much of Asia in ruins, the United States emerged as a global superpower. It also had a new rival, the Soviet Union. Both countries had different visions for the world. America believed in capitalism and democracy, while the Soviets supported communism. This led to a long period of tension known as the Cold War. There were no direct battles between the two, but proxy wars broke out in Korea, Vietnam, and elsewhere. Meanwhile, Americans built bomb shelters, schools held nuclear drills, and spies operated on both sides. Back home, the country faced new challenges. The civil rights movement gained momentum in the 1950s and 60s as African Americans and their allies fought to end segregation and discrimination. Leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. led peaceful protests demanding equality. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act was passed, outlawing discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Just 1 year later, the Voting Rights Act ensured that all citizens could vote, regardless of race. While Americans looked to the stars during the space race, landing a man on the moon in 1969, they also looked within, questioning their government during events like the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal. In the 1980s, Ronald Reagan became president and pushed for a stronger military and lower taxes. The Cold War finally ended in 1991 when the Soviet Union collapsed, leaving America as the world's only superpower. But the 21st century brought new trials. On September 11, 2001, terrorists attacked the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, killing thousands. In response, the U.S. launched the War on Terror, invading Afghanistan and later Iraq. The world had changed again, and America struggled to balance national security with civil liberties. Economic crises, political polarization, and social movements continued to shape the nation. Despite the challenges, the United States kept evolving, always striving toward its ideals of liberty, equality, and justice. From the earliest explorers to the modern age of technology and global influence, the story of America is one of discovery, conflict, resilience, and transformation, and it's still being written today. From revolution to superpower, from hardship to innovation, the story of the United States is far from over. It's a story of ambition and conflict, of dreams pursued and lessons hard learned. Through wars, recessions, movements, and milestones, America has constantly evolved, shaped not just by its leaders, but by its people as we move deeper into the 21st century. One thing is clear: the journey continues. And just like the past, the future will be written by those bold enough to shape it. Thanks for watching. If you found this video meaningful, give it a like, share it with someone curious about history, and subscribe for more stories that define our world. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed.